The stories presented in this video are real, but we have changed the characters' names and altered images to protect their identities. The creator of this video is not an investigative officer. These narratives have been sourced from various internet platforms. Our intent is not to accuse or target anyone in particular. Thank you for understanding.
March 12, 2010. Awakens to FBI officers raiding a luxury housing complex. A brutal double murder rocked the city's diplomatic district. Welcome to True Crime Stories Hub, your daily source for gripping true crime documentaries. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss any intense and shocking stories of betrayal. Victim Maria Torres, a promising secretary, and longtime Secret Service agent Nathan Grayson, whose identity is unknown. What led to these awful deaths? Betrayal, espionage, and a deadly web of deceit unfolded here. Maria Torres always dreamed. Maria, born in 1981 in a tiny, sun-drenched El Paso neighborhood, faced hardship. Her father, a construction worker, battled to keep stable work while her mother cleaned homes to make ends meet. Despite their challenges, Maria's parents instilled in her a sense of purpose and pride. Her father repeatedly persuaded her that education was her way out, a way to a life better than they could provide her. Maria listened. By the time she turned 15, she was known at El Paso High School as the overachiever. She was the first to raise her hand in class and the last to depart after asking the teacher a barrage of questions. She spent her weekends working at local shelters, reading to youngsters, and helping her mother clean houses. Maria's professors believed she was destined for great things. Yet beneath her cheerful grin was a teenager who bore the weight of her family's future on her shoulders. After graduating valedictorian of her class in 1999, Maria worked 2 jobs to put herself through community college before moving to a university in Austin, Texas. There, she majored in public administration, often dreaming of one day crafting policies that may aid struggling families like her own. When Maria walked across the stage at graduation in 2004, her parents glowed with joy. She was the first in her family to acquire a degree. That summer, Maria put her modest belongings into a second-hand automobile and drove to Washington, D.C., determined to make a difference. Maria's transfer to D.C. was both exhilarating and overwhelming. The city pulsed with the promise of power and growth, but Maria felt like an outcast among the polished professionals. She started small, assuming an entry-level administrative post at a charity organization. Over the next few years, Maria's work ethic and charm earned her a reputation as someone who could get things done. Her talent didn't go unrecognized. By 2008, she landed a prominent job as a secretary at the U.S. Department of State. At the State Department, Maria oversaw schedules for senior diplomats, planned foreign summits, and ensured the seamless flow of operations behind the scenes. It was a difficult job, but she enjoyed it. Each day pushed her closer to her dream of one day climbing the political ladder. Yet, despite her achievements, Maria's personal life was lonely. Her hectic career left little room for relationships, and her closest pals were the plants in her flat. She often questioned if she'd sacrificed too much for her work. Nathan Grayson was everything Maria was not. Born in 1968 in Alexandria, Virginia, Nathan grew up in a world of rigidity and privilege. His father, a retired Navy officer, and his mother, a fastidious homemaker, instilled in him a rigorous sense of duty. Nathan thrived in this environment, excelling in academics and sports. By the time he graduated from the University of Virginia in 1990, Nathan was already being scouted for government work. He joined the Secret Service in 1994, rapidly showing himself a significant asset. Nathan was diligent, analytical, and deeply dedicated to his country. Over the years, he progressed through the ranks, garnering reputation for his ability to manage high-pressure circumstances. By 2010, Nathan was implanted as a logistics manager at the State Department, as part of a covert effort to track a burgeoning foreign intelligence network. The mission was critical. Nathan's target was Viktor Lysenko, a Russian official suspected of coordinating clandestine operations in the U.S. For nearly a year, Nathan methodically pieced together Lysenko's network, frequently spending late nights analyzing intelligence files and doing surveillance. Every move was calculated, every detail analyzed. His life had become a balancing act, one half spent safeguarding his cover at the State Department, the other dedicated to his family in suburban Virginia. Maria first spotted Nathan during a departmental meeting in April 2009. His confidence and subtle power set him apart. To her, he was intriguing but distant. For Nathan, Maria was a bright point in an otherwise calculating existence. Her laughter was sweet, her smile beguiling. Over the months, their meetings progressed from cordial exchanges to prolonged chats in the office. Maria found herself pulled to his mystery aura, while Nathan was intrigued by her brilliance and tenacity. By October 2009, their connection had intensified. Nathan often stopped by her desk with queries that had nothing to do with business, and Maria found herself revealing more about her life than she had with anybody in years. She told him about El Paso, her parents, and her hopes of making a difference. Nathan provided just enough about his own life to keep her engaged, but always avoided the facts about his marriage and his work as an undercover agent. Their affair began in secret. It started with stolen minutes in quiet nooks of the office, escalating into late-night rendezvous at Nathan's leased apartment near Capitol Hill. For Maria, Nathan was a glimpse of something remarkable. A man who made her feel seen in a manner no one else ever had. For Nathan, Maria offered an escape from the crushing strains of his double existence. But the affair was not without its cost. Nathan's obsession with Maria began to impair his judgment. His formerly careful attention on the mission slipped. He started taking excessive risks, like leaving behind confidential materials in his car after their nights together or bypassing protocol to meet her. Meanwhile, Maria detected little contradictions in Nathan's stories. He constantly skirted questions about his personal life, and she sometimes caught him peeking over his shoulder, as if expecting someone to be watching. By January 2010, Maria's misgivings began to develop. She found a sealed briefcase at Nathan's apartment one night while he was in the shower. Though she didn't open it, the sight of it disturbed her. It was the kind of object she associated with diplomats or intelligence operations. A seed of doubt was planted, and Maria's senses told her Nathan was hiding something far bigger than she could have imagined. The emotional stakes of their connection rose as Nathan's mission got closer to its conclusion. Lysenko was slated to attend a diplomatic gala in March 2010, an event where Nathan hoped to obtain key evidence to collapse the network. But Nathan's increasing devotion to Maria compromised the mission's success. His bosses began discovering anomalies in his reports and warned him to focus. Maria, meantime, was increasingly apprehensive. She didn't really trust Nathan, yet she couldn't bring herself to let him go. Her heart told her one thing, but her gut told her another. She began quietly probing into Nathan's life, trying to learn the truth. What she uncovered would devastate both their worlds. The setting was prepared for a confrontation that neither could escape. The time was ticking, and both Maria and Nathan were trapped in a web of deception, betrayal, and danger that would soon spiral out of control. As winter deepened in January 2010, Maria Torres' environment began to take on an odd, gloomy tone. Nathan Grayson, once her getaway from the loneliness of D.C., had started acting strangely. He became distant at times, preoccupied, as though his mind was elsewhere. When they met at his flat, he would often excuse himself to take phone conversations in another room, his voice low and frantic. It was during one of these occasions that Maria first spotted the second phone. It was sleek, unmarked, and bore no similarity to the personal phone Nathan normally carried with him. Maria's curiosity rose, but her love for Nathan made her apprehensive. To pry too deeply, she reasoned that possibly his job demanded particular measures. After all, he had always been evasive about his work. Nathan described himself as a logistics manager, yet his explanations often lacked depth. And when Maria asked too many questions, he diverted with praises or a change of subject. Still, Maria couldn't avoid the sensation that he was hiding something significant. On the evening of February 2, 2010, Maria found upon a locked briefcase in Nathan's apartment. It was stashed away in his closet, partially buried beneath a mound of neatly folded shirts. She hesitated, staring at it, her heart beating. Why would Nathan, a logistics manager, require something so official-looking? She reached for it, but it was heavy, and the lock was secure. That night, when Nathan was out on what he said was a work meeting, Maria sat alone in his apartment, staring at the briefcase, the thoughts spinning in her mind like a storm. By February 4, 2010, her doubts got too large to ignore. Maria's resolve, a quality that had always motivated her to thrive, suddenly focused toward uncovering the truth. She began examining Nathan more attentively, taking attention to his routines and the stuff he carried. One evening, she watched him slip a thin, sealed packet into the pocket of his coat before leaving. When she later found the coat empty, her anxiety intensified. Maria decided to inspect Nathan's possessions while he was at work. She found nothing damning at first, until she came across a drawer packed with personal items. Among them was a series of images, one of which caused her breath to hitch. It was a family portrait. Nathan stood with a gorgeous woman and two young children, smiling in front of a white picket fence. The photo was tucked aside, like though Nathan didn't want it seen. Maria stared at it, her hands quivering. The understanding was like a strike to her chest. Nathan was married. The discovery left Maria feeling misled and ashamed. The man she had fallen for, the man she believed she knew, was not only secretive, but also living a second life. Her love for him struggled with her wrath, generating a whirlwind of feelings she couldn't escape. That night, Maria addressed Nathan. She waited until he returned home and placed the photograph on the coffee table, letting it speak for itself. Nathan, cornered, had no choice but to confess. He claimed to being a Secret Service agent, saying that his work encompassed classified operations and high-stakes missions. He claimed his concealment was for her safety, citing national security as the reason he had kept the facts. Nathan implored her to keep his name and the nature of his employment a secret, emphasizing the hazards to both their lives if the information were disclosed. Maria listened, but her faith in him was permanently damaged. By February 10, 2010, Maria's sentiments of betrayal festered into wrath. The more she thought about Nathan's falsehoods, the more she felt used and rejected. She couldn't shake the sight of his cheerful family. She felt like a pawn in his game, a mere distraction, while he lived a life that she was never meant to know about. Her love grew to hatred, and resentment soon transformed into a craving for revenge. Maria began to painstakingly organize her next steps. She wasn't impetuous by nature. Every decision was calculated. On February 12, 2010, she purchased a digital recorder from an electronics retailer. Her strategy was simple: gather evidence. Over the next days, Maria filmed talks with Nathan, pushing him into sharing facts about his career and personal life. She didn't fully understand the complexity of his operations, but snippets of his statements, mentions of surveillance, names of foreign diplomats, and references to a target presented a picture of a guy deeply engaged in risky activity. By February 15, 2010, Maria had accumulated enough material to feel secure in her next move. That evening, she sat in her little apartment, penning an anonymous letter to a big media outlet. In the letter, She revealed Nathan's double existence, his career as a Secret Service agent, and his betrayal. She added samples of the recordings as proof, encrypting the files before ready to mail them. But Maria's determination came at a cost. She miscalculated the scope of the agency Nathan worked for. Unbeknownst to her, Nathan's supervisors had already classified his behavior as questionable. His frequent absences, conflicting reports, and increasing preoccupation had drawn notice. When Nathan received an alert from his intelligence sources that someone had made queries about him, his heart sunk. He knew Maria was behind it. The Secret Service, now aware of Maria's actions, considered her as a threat to national security. Her actions compromised not only Nathan's career, but an ongoing operation crucial to U.S. interests. The CIA began tracking her travels, determined to minimize the risks she posed. Maria, meanwhile, remained unconscious of the danger coming in around her. She was consumed by her drive to expose Nathan, feeling it was the only way to restore her dignity. The days leading up to her ultimate decision were packed with strain, the weight of her choices hanging heavily on her shoulders. She had no idea that every step she took drew her closer to a fateful confrontation, one that would change the trajectory of both their lives forever. March 5, 2010, 11:45 p.m. The calm of the night at Maria's posh D.C. residential complex was shattered by the sudden piercing sound of a gunshot. Just seconds prior, neighbors recounted hearing heated voices coming from her unit. They recognized Maria's voice, normally calm and steady, but now it was anxious, almost desperate. The second voice, male, was colder, steadier, and filled with rage. The dispute had gone on for some minutes until the abrupt silence was broken by a single gunshot. The building's hallways quickly filled with frightened occupants, muttering in hushed tones. Several of them contacted 911, reporting the sounds of a disturbance. When officials came at 11:55 p.m., they discovered the door to Maria's apartment slightly ajar. The scene within was terrifying. Maria lay splayed on her living room carpet, a single bullet wound in her chest. Her eyes were open but lifeless, and her fingers stretched toward her smashed phone as though she had been attempting to reach it in her final seconds. Blood pooled beneath her, staining the smooth beige carpet in a dark crimson circle. The flat itself was oddly neat, except from the traces of struggle. A coffee table was toppled, and papers from Maria's desk were spilled across the floor. The room felt frozen in time, a dramatic contrast to the brutality that had just taken place. The first assumption was evident. Maria Torres had been killed in a fit of wrath by Nathan Grayson. But the terror of the night wasn't restricted to her dwelling. Just 2 blocks away, another tragic discovery was made. At 12:15 a.m., a patrol officer observed an automobile parked awkwardly on the curb on a dimly lit roadway. The engine was still going, its headlights producing a ghostly glow. Inside sat Nathan Grayson, slumped in the driver's seat. His service weapon hung loosely in his palm, and blood seeped from a cut to his temple. To the officer, it appeared to be a textbook instance of suicide, an act of guilt following a crime of passion. But as investigators would soon learn, the truth was far more nuanced. By morning on March 6, 2010, the D.C. Metro Police had taken over both crime scenes. Detectives were initially certain of their narrative. Nathan Grayson, a scorned lover, had slain Maria in a jealous rage before taking his own life. It was a story they had seen before, but as they probed further, the flaws began to show. Maria's residence was scoured for evidence. Detectives uncovered a collection of encrypted emails on her laptop, drafts that hinted at her plot to disclose Nathan's identity and his secret existence. Her statements were forceful and accusatory, alluding to a lady determined to seek justice. The communications indicated recordings. However, the detectives originally found no indication of them. Then they noticed her phone. It lay crushed on the floor near her body, its screen entirely gone. Despite its state, forensic scientists managed to retrieve portions of audio. As they pieced the recordings together, a disturbing tale began to emerge. Maria had been in possession of devastating proof concerning Nathan's work and was prepared to go public. The tapes showed Nathan begging with her, his tone urgent, and warning her of the perils she was courting. But there was something else, another voice, faint and garbled, suggesting the presence of a third party. As the inquiry advanced, the case took an unexpected turn. At 3 p.m. on March 10, 2010, a high-ranking agent from the Secret Service came in the station, essentially shutting down the local investigation. The agent argued national security and wanted all evidence, including Maria's emails and recordings. Overnight, the case was classified, leaving the detectives dissatisfied and sidelined. Rumors of a cover-up began spreading almost immediately. The press gained wind of the rapid transfer of jurisdiction, and concerns started to surface. Who was Nathan Grayson? And why would the Secret Service intervene in what looked to be a domestic dispute? On March 15, 2010, the tale disintegrated further. Ballistics reports found that the bullet casing retrieved from Maria's apartment didn't match Nathan's service weapon. The disclosures startled detectives. If Nathan hadn't fired the shot that killed Maria, then who had? Surveillance footage from the vicinity supplied the first hint. It showed an unmarked black SUV stopped near Maria's building just minutes before the gunshot was fired. The SUV was traced back to the Secret Service's Covert Operations Division. This finding portrayed Nathan's death in a fresh light. Forensic study of his car uncovered contradictions in the suicide theory. The angle of the gunshot wound suggests it was fired by someone else. Nathan Grayson had been executed. The evidence provided a gloomy picture. Maria Torres and Nathan Grayson were both silenced to safeguard a wider secret. In the days following the finding, whistleblowers within the CIA began leaking information to an investigative journalist. On March 20, 2010, a blockbuster piece disclosed the reality. The Secret Service had declared Maria Torres a threat to national security after learning of her intention to expose Nathan. Her knowledge of an ongoing mission to eliminate a foreign spy network had made her a liability. Nathan, who had pleaded for her safety, was seen as compromised and no longer trustworthy. Both were targeted. Maria's murder was sanctioned as an authorized hit, and Nathan's death was engineered to look like a suicide. The disclosure sent shockwaves through Washington, generating public indignation and cries for accountability. By April 1, 2010, the Secret Service defended their actions, alleging Maria's actions harmed national security. They presented Nathan as a rogue spy, blaming his emotional entanglements for the chaos that occurred. But the harm was done. The killings of Maria Torres and Nathan Grayson showed a grim reality. In the murky realm of espionage, no one was safe. Not even those who served the system. The nation was left coping with the awful truth. And the echoes of that night would haunt everyone who touched the case. The killings of Maria Torres and Nathan Grayson remain a terrible tale in the annals of espionage. Their narrative underlines the human cost of concealment and betrayal, leaving audiences with a sobering reminder. In the shadows of power, no one is secure. This is extremely similar to the case where a sheriff who exploits his office to get a young teenager pregnant ends in murder. Make sure to check the case out and like and subscribe so you don't miss out on our daily updates.